do you have a way to qualify prospective clients?
Yes. But this podcast, we're talking about builders. So do they have a way in which to qualify prospective clients?
Yeah, so that's the question we're asking today. This one is important. Like, why is it so important for builders to have a system or a process in place to qualify prospective clients?
I would say there's many reasons, but the big reason is a huge waste of time dealing with if you have to physically and personally do the qualifying yourself. And for a lot of builders, when they hear the word qualifying, they think it means going out and meeting with the person, having an hour, 3-hour chat with them at the project, at their home. Then they might go away and put a quote together, and they don't charge for it. I don't know how many hours that is. And then the client says, or the prospect says, no, it's too expensive. And that's pretty well what they have in place when it comes to qualifying.
Okay. So you're saying, I guess the question I asked is why?
So why would be to avoid that?
Yeah. So why is it important to have a qualification system in place? You mentioned like time.
So wasting time, wasting resources.
I mean, what else can you be doing with that time and those resources?
Investing them into better clients, better projects, into your team, into running your business, working on the business.
Creating a better product.
Definitely.
Building better. Okay, so that's kind of like the reason why it's important to have the system in place.
One last reason would be, the why would be, if you're not qualifying, you would be potentially bringing on bad clients.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask. Why is it important to qualify?
To not bring on bad clients.
Yeah, okay. What does it mean if you bring on bad clients?
Well, they just suck time and resources, and they can very quickly send the business spiraling down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is really important because it's almost like when you go on a journey, sometimes you get a fork in the road, right? Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, you've got a few decisions to make. And it depends on, like, if you take path A, it'll lead you down that path.
Yeah.
If you go B, it'll be a completely different path.
Yeah.
So each time you've got to qualify a prospective client, that's the fork in the road. Mm-hmm. And where the paths leave,
it could be miles apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Very, very good point.
And we've seen this a lot with different clients, because on the front end, when builders come to us and we qualify them, they kind of like give you information and you hear all these stories, right? This project went bad, this one here.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you look at it from a first principles point of view, if you drill down to what caused that, I think a huge part is qualification.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
And we qualify pretty heavily.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So why is it important to have a qualification system in place? Well, it'll save you time, resources, it'll give you some structure, standardization. I think as well, the other reason why it's important to have this system in place is because it shows prospective clients that this is how I work as a builder.
You're professional.
Yeah, I'm professional. Yeah. I'm an expert. We've done this a few times. It's a way to like educate them and feel at ease with you.
And I think one thing that you often talk about, those first order consequences, and then you got second, third order consequences. One thing that I've heard a lot from builders that we work with, their frustration is working with bad clients because they either haven't qualified well enough and it's been missed, or they've ignored the red flags to bring work on to keep the guys busy. And a big reason why you want to qualify as well is looking at the second order consequences or third order is if you keep poorly qualifying and bringing on bad clients, that's going to have a really negative effect on your team. You don't have to spell it out. Your team will know what a bad client looks like and to work on a project like that. And so those second and third order consequences are that your team get frustrated. They don't no longer have job satisfaction, which means then they leave. So there's those also second and third order consequences to consider.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, like maybe in the comments, if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe just comment why you think it's important to, qualify. Another one, just before we go on to this, I think this is a really important one, is that when you start qualifying and you have a qualification system in place, it will create a different feeling within you in terms of the sales process.
Yeah.
It won't feel like you're trying to sell someone. You won't reek of desperation to get the project. you will.
How does that happen?
Well, because you're asking, we'll go into how we, qualify in a second, or how we see builders qualify, is that if you start qualifying, in the prospective client's mind, they go, oh, this person is not trying to sell me. They're trying to find out whether or not they are able to help me, and I have to almost sell the builder. So it changes almost like, and again, this comes back down to like, how have you positioned yourself as a builder? Are you that expert builder?
Yeah.
Do you have things in place to show that you're that expert builder? But it'll help with your sales process, because you won't feel like you have to sell.
Also, before we leave the why, I'm assuming everyone, we were talking a lot there about the negative when you poorly qualify, but we haven't even touched, not that I don't think we need to, but why you want to qualify. Well, then there's all the positives that come from that as well. Like you said earlier, in terms of if you have a system, if you're qualifying well, you're bringing on better quality clients. They should be more informed, which means they flow through the business easier, which means it's more enjoyable. It's not sucking your time. You enjoy it. The team enjoys it. Should be more profitable if you're running things well. It's just a better outcome. So that would be some of the positives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a problem is a lot of builders don't qualify because they're desperate to get a project.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to ask yourself the question, like, if that's the case, you've got to ask yourself, why am I in that situation? And it's much easier to qualify with more confidence if you have more people to qualify in the first place. So if you have,
I think it makes more sense. It almost seems, I can imagine why, if you've got a really scarce pipeline, empty pipeline, qualifying, you can't qualify if you got one person who wants to build with you, or they reached out to you and no one else.
I would highly suggest you still qualify the same way as you would if you had 100 people that you're possible, like, that you could build for.
Yeah, I agree. But you can imagine if you're in that position, that's,
it's tough. Which means you've got to fix other things in your business as well. It's not just the qualification process. Yeah. But I think some builders are still scared to qualify, even if they've got enough work. But I think one thing builders have to realize is you have finite openings to build, like spots. How many builds do you need per year? Yeah. So there's so much opportunity out there in terms of projects. We see this all the time. Doesn't matter what the media says about the building industry going down, all this kind of stuff. We see this with a lot of our clients. They have a lot more people that want to build with them than they can say yes to.
Yeah.
So you just sometimes, you have to just look at yourself as a building company and go, hey, look, I can only build this many projects. Okay, and that's just for you being honest. Therefore, I've got to make sure that I build the right projects. I've got to bring the right ones in through qualifying the right ones.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That was an exact discussion with one of our clients yesterday. We're sort of halfway through their year 2.
Yeah.
But year 1 has worked too well for them. Well, not too well, just it's worked so well. They're booked up for the next year and they're busy, I guess, putting things in place to manage their work. And we discussed, do you want to go bigger? But that's never been their goal. Their goal is, no, we only want to be doing 20 projects.
Yeah.
And we want to have absolute choice.
Yeah.
And we're now there. And that's within 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. So I think this is probably a good topic for them to listen to.
Yeah.
So send it to them afterwards.
Yeah.
We've basically got 3 topics we're going to talk about today. And also we're going to add a big mistake that we see a lot of builders make when it comes to qualification. Yeah. And we've seen this is a bad one. So you want to make sure you make this mistake.
Before we jump in though,
just
clarify, when it comes to qualifying, I think this is a thing for a lot of the builders that watch this, and because this is what I see when I talk to them, is there's a whole spectrum of qualifying. It can start at A and it can never finish.
Okay, right. So in terms of the client's journey kind of thing?
Yeah, and where is this qualifying taking place?
Okay.
Maybe just paint a bit of a 10,000, 40,000 foot view of the journey, the time, not necessarily time frame, but the journey and where this takes place.
So, I think, and this relates to the 3 topics we're going to be talking about, but on the front end, we're going to be talking about the people that you don't even know about. It's prospective clients that like they know you now. So from that point to the point of you basically signing contract with them,
Right.
or whatever that next step is, whether it's prelim agreement or, you know, so we're going to be talking between those two.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to jump into this. I think for a lot of guys, like we discussed in the intro there, they believe that qualifying only takes place once the person's in front of me.
Yeah, true.
And we'll discuss that as well.
Yeah,
but,
true. So yeah, let's jump into one, because it's spot on.
Yeah.
Like what you said there, like a lot of builders think that, hey, I only qualify once, and it's when the client like calls me or whatever.
Yeah.
So
let's. So what's number one?
So number one is self-qualification.
All right, what's that?
So this means it's not necessarily the builder that qualifies the prospective client. It's the prospective client qualifying themselves.
Expand on that.
So at this point in time, you as a builder, you probably won't even know about this prospective client or that this prospective client exists.
Okay.
They have now found out about you. And what this means is you need everything in place, like especially your marketing materials and everything out there, even so far to like your site signage and everything, and even how your team conducts themselves on site if it's someone that's in the area. But yeah, more specifically around informational content-based marketing, your story, client case study stories, all that kind of stuff. You've got to have those things in place, because when this prospective client, looks at this and consumes it, in their mind they go, yep, I qualify. So they have all these tick boxes in their mind.
Yeah.
And once they've ticked them all off, that will allow them to mentally move on to the next stage.
Okay. So this is around that sort of very first touch point that when they come in contact with your business in any way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this will depend on the type of person they are. So some people only need like one piece of information.
Yeah.
They might just have to read the headline on your website that says, I'm a Brisbane-based luxury builder, and that's good enough for them. They go, yeah, I'll qualify. I'm in Brisbane and I want a luxury home.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, you've got people that are like more risk. They
risk adverse.
They're risk adverse. They're very scared.
Yeah.
And they will continue. They will dig, and they will try and find everything.
Okay. So on that, what sort of time frame should builders be aware of, or be thinking? How should they be thinking? What lenses in terms of time frame should they be looking at this self-qualifying?
Well, it could be for people that are ready to build right now. They're basically ready to contact a builder.
Okay.
And at that point in time, you want to submerge them with the content and the information and everything there. But it could also go as far back as people that want to build like 5 years from now. So you've got to think in a pretty broad kind of like spectrum. Okay. But the cool thing is a lot of that content will be relevant for both those people and everyone in between as well.
And you said something earlier there that in terms of the content or what they're seeing, these prospective clients of the builders, they should be able to be ticking boxes. What are some of those boxes, and how does explain that for the listeners?
Well, this comes back down to you. If we go back a step or a couple of steps, you've got to get clear on like what your niche is, like what your speciality is as a builder, like where you build, who you build for, who are your clients, what do they look like, what are their desires, what are their problems, and then what is your solution? Like as a builder, what do you actually do? Do you do renovations? Do you do major renovations? Do you do little touch-ups? Do you do extensions? Do you do luxury homes? So it's about you getting clear on all those things first. And this is way before we even look at this qualification.
Yeah.
So if we talk in terms of first principles, you've got to get clear on those things.
Okay.
But we've got heaps of podcasts around that.
Yeah, I guess I think it'll definitely come up again in this podcast. But the idea of, you talked about ticking boxes.
Right.
So how does someone go about self-qualifying and ticking boxes?
Yeah, that was the question.
Actually, what does that look like? So the people listening, they're driving, let's say the builders listening to this podcast, they're driving, visually paint a picture of that actually happening.
Okay. So, yeah, it's like what I just said there before. You've got to get clear on like who your ideal clients are, what they desire, and what their problems are, what their fears are. I think that's a really good way to, you know, create content and stories around that. Because if you can understand those things, that's kind of like what's going on in their mind at that point in time. It might be a fear of like, you know, if I engage a builder, like, will they go under? And then you've got to think, okay, cool. That's what the prospective client is thinking. How can I overcome that? How can I make them feel at ease? What makes me different as a builder? And what do I have in place to do that? You know, we had some builder clients over from Melbourne, and I think this topic came up maybe in the podcast that we recorded with them. But if it didn't, basically what they were talking about is like, yeah, there's a lot of fear in the marketplace and all that kind of stuff. And they mentioned like, you know, yeah, people are scared that builders go bust. So, but this is how we go about it, right? We've got our finances in place. We've got enough runway, you know, for a while. We've got this. We've got these projects happening. So everything's good there. So you've got to almost like paint a picture of like, how have you set up your business in a way? Yeah. So that's just like one way. You've got to overcome like fears and so on.
I mean, that's probably we could talk about that all day.
Yeah.
All day long. That's pretty well what we really do specialize in.
Yeah. Just coming back to the self-qualify, in essence, all the content that you put out there, it needs to speak to that particular person. They've got to feel like this is the builder for me.
Yeah. Or not.
Yeah, or not. Yeah. That's a great one. That's a great one. So that's why we, with business overview stories that we create for our clients, that's why we show the visuals that we show, right? That's why we even show some of the lifestyle visuals that we show.
Yeah.
So if someone loves cycling, for example, a builder, right? And we show that because that'll relate to people that that might be into that type of thing. But if it's someone that's like against cycling, like they hate cycling, you know, you kind of like want to make sure that, you know, I mean, that's a crazy example, but that's like, that's like all the type of areas that we look at in terms of self-qualification.
Yeah, a lot of those subtle things. It's amazing. It sounds crazy, but I know when we talk to our builders and it's all in place and it's working, and they, you know, then we start to, you know, get their feedback and stuff. It's often they'll say, man, this great client, you know, now I'm getting clients. They go, oh yeah, I also like doing X, or, oh, I also love this, and so straight away it's building that instant rapport.
Yeah, and relatability.
Relatability,
yeah. And if you can't relate to a prospective client, like sometimes people go, yeah, I'm not getting like my ideal clients. I'm not getting good clients. Well, what is a good client?
Yeah.
Like for you, the builder, what is a good client? It might just be someone that they don't get along with. Like financially, it's a good client, all that kind of stuff, but it's just not someone you get along with. If you think about your friends, like who do you get along with? You get along with your friends where you've got relatability.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So yeah, I agree with you. Like builders listening to this, they're like, how the heck is this stuff even part of business?
Yeah.
Like me showing like lifestyle visuals of myself.
Yeah. That's
showing like my hobbies question. And stuff like that. So yeah,
Right.
I agree. Like we can go into this for like days, but we've got 2 more topics to cover. So
what's the second one, man?
Well, the second one is you've got to have a good questionnaire in place.
Yeah.
So when the client is ready to now go to that next step, they've self-qualified themselves. They go, man, I love this builder. I don't want anyone else to build for me because I just have this connection with them. I've got to reach out.
Yeah.
Now you've got to have a questionnaire in place.
How deep do we want to go in terms of questionnaire?
Oh man, we can go so deep.
Because typically when we say questionnaire, a lot of the builders, we go, oh yeah, I've got that on my website. And it's like,
chances are
it's a name, email, and message.
Or even if you think you've got like, even if it's a longer questionnaire.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't necessarily
some of our builders are like, no, I send, so I'm talking over you, you know, but they, oh yeah, I'll send someone a few questions to answer, or an extensive, you know, and that's really good in, you know, many ways, but often the focus on those questionnaires is on gathering the logical information.
Yeah. And also go back to, we'll link a podcast in this, under this one, where you and Andre did a podcast about asking the right questions. Asking a question doesn't necessarily mean it's a good question. So when we help our clients design their questionnaire, it's based on, I don't know how many years. Like for me personally, I've been into personal development psychology, like all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
since before I left school. Like I
Yeah.
started reading books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Influenced by Robert Cialdini, new psycho-cybernetics,
Yeah.
like all these different things. And the reason why those things are important is because you have to understand what makes people take action or what creates an emotion, right?
Yeah.
So when we help our clients design their questionnaire, we're thinking about not just the builder qualifying the potential client,
Yeah.
but also taking the potential client through a psychological journey
Yeah.
where they get clarity on what they want.
The other thing I would add to that in terms of the questions, yes, you're gathering information to logically see, is this, you like doing new builds? Oh, this is a reno. No, it's not a fit. So there's that logical side of it. The budget is a thing, but I do want to come back to that. There's some stories I want to put in there. But in the questionnaires that we help our builders with, a big part of it is also the psychology and positioning. So the questions should
Positioning of the builder.
positioning you as the builder in the mind of that prospective client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got to have this sense of there's a lot of emotions that need to happen at this point in time for the prospective client.
Yeah.
They've got to feel like they are with an expert here.
Yeah.
And they've got to feel like they have to almost sell themselves to the builder. And the reason why this happens, or why you should be aiming for this as a builder, is that, yes, you're providing a service for them and they are paying you.
Yeah.
However, the client needs to do their part. This is a partnership.
Yeah.
It's not like you buying something
Off a shelf.
on the internet, like on Amazon. It's not like you trying to buy something on Amazon
Yeah.
where the client gives the money and then the thing comes.
Yeah.
And they can just sit back on the couch and the next day the thing's here. This is a partnership. They need to play their part.
Yeah.
So the questionnaire is massive.
It also sets, what's the phrase you use? It sets the precedent for the relationship as
it
well.
kind of like pre-frames
Yeah, that
where
too.
this relationship is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is a good thing for prospects.
Yeah.
And the question, I mean, here's an example of what this question could be. So it's the very last question. It could say something like, as a builder, as a luxury builder in Brisbane, we only build 2 projects a year. Why should we consider taking on your project?
Yeah.
And a lot of builders, and they might struggle with this.
Mm-hmm.
They might struggle with asking this question.
Yeah.
But I've got to ask them, like, why do you struggle with this? Is it because you're not confident in what you build? Are you scared that you might scare people away? Or is this really just the truth? How many projects do you build? So therefore, it's a really good way to qualify and disqualify people right here. We've seen questionnaires come back where someone says, how dare you ask me this question?
Take a hike.
Yeah, take a hike, all this stuff. And
Yeah.
then our builder clients normally call us about this. And the first thing they say is, wow, just dodged the bullet there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Then on the other side, we see people saying, I would love for you to build, our dream home. We're going to build so many memories here. We've been watching you so long. We love what you do. When you finish building the project, we'll let clients in, like your future prospective clients in, so they can walk through and see what you've built. I'll open it up for photo shoots, all this stuff. They're selling themselves. So what does that mean for the builder? It means this person is invested. They're invested in the partnership, not just trying to see what they can get out of the builder.
I know a big one, like one of our clients, the first time that we wanted to put this in place, and they had the first person sort of come through and thanked them. Thank you for taking us on board. Thank you for letting us be one of your clients. And he was like, what?
Never had this.
Never had this. And so he sent me a screenshot with a laughing face. I was like, haha, did not believe this was possible. Looking forward to more of these kind of clients, because they're just grateful clients all the way. They see you as an authority, as a leader. There's no pushback. It's not, actually, can you sharpen your pencil? Or, my mate's a builder and he reckons, no, man, no, you're the builder, you're the authority. Hold my hand and lead me through this.
And again, this is the truth right here. As a builder, you can only build X amount of projects and there's Y amount of people, right? It depends on your location. I mean, you might be in a small little town. It's probably the same there as well.
Yeah.
So that's the truth. So we're looking at like facts here. That's the fact. You can only build X amount of projects. You're not a massive volume builder. I would argue even the volume builders have this. They can only build X amount of projects for X amount of clients. Okay. And knowing that fact, okay, allows you to make sure that you're building for the right people. That means that if someone knows, a prospective client knows that you can only build that many projects, and the prospective client comes to them, is like, oh, I want a massive discount, or I'm not going to pay for this part of your I'm not going to pay for a prelim, or I'm not going to pay for a quote. That thing's not even going to come up in their mind, because in their mind, they're like, wow, there's probably 10 other people that's waiting in line for this builder.
I suppose that touches on what you said earlier in terms of even if you're dealing with one person, you still want to qualify them the same. Because you could have someone, again, it comes down a lot of the time to lack of education with these prospective clients. So if they come through a qualification process, they can very quickly and easily, with the right things in place, have their whole perspective of you shifts from, oh, I wonder whether we can get this guy, get a good deal with this builder, to, man, I really hope this builder will take us on. And controlling, I mean, a funny story on the side, one of our builders does a few more homes, I guess, than most, and has a spec home, and when he doesn't even have chairs in the spec home. So you can't walk in or a display home, and you can't walk in and sit down and ask how much is it. You remove the chairs, and he said it's pretty funny. You watch people walk in there and they look around for a chair to try and sit down and pull up and ask you. And straight away from there, then he can control the process. Oh, look, I'm sorry, we can't simply build for everyone. It's very important that we firstly make sure that this is a fit and that we can build what you need.
A lot of builders feel like they attract the wrong clientele that only focus on price. They never seem to get the projects that they are truly passionate about and that are also profitable. Builders love working with us because we help them create an emotional connection with their ideal clients through the power of story and help them build long-term trust through their marketing system. If you're a builder and if you feel like you need help, book in a story strategy session with our team by visiting builderstorymarketing.com. Now back to this episode. Let's go into topic number 3. Okay. Ask the right questions. You've just started on that. Okay. How powerful is that? Asking the right questions. And that story you just mentioned there. About
a massive shift. When he tells a story, I always get goosebumps because I'm like, man, this someone who's super switched on. Let
me just quickly frame up the question. So, this topic. So as a builder, you've got to ask the right questions. So now, they have at this point, the ideal prospective client have self-qualified themselves. They go, I want to build with this builder. Like, this is the only one for me. They have gone down the questionnaire, like they've filled out the questionnaire. At this point in time, they're like, wow, I hope this builder takes me on.
Yeah.
Now they go to like a consultation, go to the showroom or whatever the builder's
process is,
that next step is, right? So let's go. Ask the right questions.
That's a long list, but a big question that we encourage our guys to ask early on is why? Why do you want to do this project?
Yeah. And that let me just, sorry to interrupt, but you want, and you do this in the questionnaire as well. Yeah. What do you want to build?
Yeah.
Then they'll bring out the logical stuff, 4 bedrooms, there's whatever.
Yeah.
Then the next question you want to ask them is, why do you want to build this?
Yeah. And then also, why now? That's when you're going to get their real driver, that dominant buying motive. What's really motivating them to make this purchase, to make this investment?
Why do you want that?
Well, then you can understand their real needs. So otherwise, if they say, "Oh, we're just looking for a house," and you take that as truth, which it is, but if you take that as the entirety, then all of your communication and service is around, "Oh, we just got to build them a house." As opposed to if you go deep enough and it's more a case of, no, well, actually, my wife and I, we've both grown up living certain lives, and we've always felt, and we've heard these stories from our builders when they can ask the right kind of questions. Their clients saying, well, we were looking at, we've always wanted this type of home because we never had that growing up. And so because that was the most important to us, we chose this block that we've purchased. Now, we've been living in this home for 10 years, and we've now put the funds together, we've sold the business or whatever. we're now wanting to create the home where we can create memories forever. We can
Yeah.
have family visiting from overseas. We can have,
So you just made it sound really easy. That's like the ideal client. Like you walk in and,
Yeah,
and
that's
then you
true.
go, what do you want? Yep, I want a new home.
Yep.
And then you go, why do you want it? And then they tell you that whole story. That's lucky.
yes.
What about the people that don't just give you that?
Well, then it's right. It's about asking those right kind of questions and being able to dig through those layers.
How do you dig?
I'd say in terms of digging, I'd say you're the expert on this. You're the expert at,
Well, I'm not
at
really
asking the why at 5 levels.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
The one I've wanted to like tattoo this on my
Yeah.
on my I've had the urge the last week to tattoo the number 5 and then why.
Yeah.
But basically, if you look at the 5 whys, it goes back to what's the philosopher?
Aristotle, Socrates.
Socrates, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's Socratic thinking or whatever. I can't remember now, but it's basically the 5 whys. So you want to drill down, and it's like first principles thinking as well. You want to drill down to what is the root thing we're talking about here. What's the root why? What's the root reason? And the best way to do that is to ask the 5 whys. Should we quickly role play the 5 whys?
Yeah, and I think just giving it a bit more context, it might be jumping ahead here, but when you do that, because it's very rare that the client themselves has gone this deep.
Yeah.
So when you push them to go that deep and they articulate at level 5, all of a sudden they're having an epiphany. It's like, this is actually why we want to do this. It gives them clarity, and because you extracted it from them, they're going to feel like this builder understands us.
So what I'm hearing is, as a builder, you building their home is the last little thing you do.
Yeah.
What you do before that is help them get clear. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But you asked the right kind of questions, so you helped me articulate that. I'm not sure if I've articulated like that for a while.
I think the reason why I like the 5 whys is it's so damn easy. You just literally ask 5, like why, and when it goes bad is when you know they don't really have a good reason.
Yeah.
So if you say, why do you want a new home? They say, because I want something fresh. Why do you want something fresh? Or you don't necessarily have to ask them why. You could say, what makes you want a fresh home? Because it's hard to clean. Why is cleaning the house important? Because I've got to clean all day. Why is it important for you to clean? Like,
Why do you clean all day?
Yeah, and then they go, just because, whatever. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
And if they say that, that shows you that they're not. This is not a good enough motive to move ahead.
And that, funny you mention that example, because that happens a lot when we're qualifying. And I'll say, well, awesome, man, why are we on this call today? And they'll say, I just want to see what you guys do. Great. Well, why is it important to see what we do? Yeah, I've just been seeing you guys around, so I want to see what you do. Cool. Excellent. Cool. So why do you need to see what we do? What are you trying to achieve? We're just... And they can't answer it, or they don't want to. One, they're not clear on actually why they're on this call, which means we're wasting each other's time. I don't want to waste their time. And then 2, they are not opening up. And if they're going to be a closed book, then the relationship's not going to work. It's not a partnership.
Yeah.
Then I definitely don't want to be wasting their time.
Exactly. So the 5 whys, it's so easy. Just, what do you want? And then go. So it's what, why. Just remember that. Try it next time if you're a builder. Try it with your partner.
I was going to say in personal life
Try
as well.
it with your business partner. Try it with your kids.
Yeah.
The kids, actually, you know what? Kids do this all the time.
Yeah. Audrey's just starting to do this.
Why?
Why, Dad? Because, we need to, tidy up your room before you go to bed. Why, Daddy?
Because I said so.
Because, I find I get to like 2, 3 down and I'm just saying, because I'm your dad and I said so.
Yeah, and that's when the root reason is not good enough.
Yeah,
it shows you.
true.
So no, that's good. So we've covered those 3 topics.
Yeah.
Self-qualify, questionnaire, asking the right questions. If you don't know what questions to ask, just go why. That'll give you the questions you need to ask. Trust me on that. What is the biggest mistake that you see builders make when it comes to qualifying clients?
Other than not having a qualification process in place, I would say they are misqualifying too soon.
What do you mean?
and missing opportunity. So an example of that would be price. Someone goes, I'm wanting to do this, this, and this, and my budget's 400.
Yeah.
And the builder goes, mate, you're dreaming. Sorry, can't help you.
Yeah.
And just disqualifies them and goes, man, I'm not wasting my time with that. And understandable, they've maybe burnt themselves in the past.
Why is that the wrong way of doing it?
Because you've assumed that they maxed out at 400, as opposed to assuming
and you're assuming that they are educated.
Yeah, you're assuming that they're highly educated. They know. Yeah, you're assuming that they are educated but delusional. That's what you're assuming.
Yeah.
As opposed to going, maybe giving them. I know we teach our team this always. Try and teach myself it every day. The charitable assumption. So make the assumption, maybe this person lacks education.
Yeah.
Maybe they want that and they think they can get it for 400. Doesn't mean their budget is 400. They think they can get it for 400. And so they've said, well, then we've allowed 400. I can't tell you how many times once we break that way of thinking for our builders, they start closing deals and it's, the guy says, I've got 400. And then once you educate them, take them on the journey, they end up spending 600.
Yeah.
700.
I went through an open home the other day with, and I was talking to the agent, and the agent was like, I'm about to build a new house. I'm knock down, rebuild.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that's been a real estate agent for a while now. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he knows value and all this kind of stuff, because I know of properties that he has sold. Then someone came in, did a knockdown rebuild, and then he sold it again. Yep. So obviously you'll be talking there.
So
and in his mind, he's like, I don't even know how much to expect.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be $100,000 or $1 million.
Yeah.
And this is like an expert. What about prospective clients that have never built before?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's got an email from one of our builders we've just helped set things up with the other day, and they are coming around to this way of thinking. So it was great to get an email from them saying, hey, we just got our first application, someone applying to build with us. They filled out a questionnaire. Price is a little bit low, but we're going to talk to them about that. That's so much better than going, oh, well, there's a crap lead, disqualify, or another guy, one of our West Coast guys who a lot of people assume building for a certain ethnicity. The assumption is they're penny pinchers. They're going to try and skim you for every dollar. And once he better understood, I guess, that culture and built for the first one, he realized, oh my goodness, these people have like double the budgets consistently that they tell you. But it's just a matter of finding baseline. And you go, cool, that's the lowest we can build it for you. Done. Let's start building. And be very clear with variations in the structure and how you do that. And the variations start coming, and they're happy to pay every time. Imagine if he had just made that assumption, like a lot of builders do with a certain ethnicity, and just cast them aside and go, I don't build for those people.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy got, no, there's an opportunity here, and it's proven to be very profitable for him.
Yeah.
Very profitable.
Yeah, so I think in essence, as builders, like, you've got to stop thinking in terms like assuming people, like assuming, budgets, assumptions. Yeah. Right. Start assuming that people don't know, and it's my chance here to provide value and educate them. And you can do that offline, online, everywhere.
Yep. I would say you're obligated to.